Ladies and gentlemen, today I sentence you to 40 minutes of left-leaning white guy video essay. Because today we're talking about EthanIsOnline, one of my personal favorite content creators.
We're really getting down to the core of why so many people are nofap. They're incels. They're just incels.
I've got a lot of praise for him, and he's got a pretty interesting history on YouTube. Probably the most annoying thing about this guy is the fact that he has to make everything political. I mean, you know the type of guy we're talking about. I've talked about them before. You know the kind of takes he has.
Weird, sick freaks who participated in right-wing radicalization and racism on the internet.
But it's extremely frustrating to see him try to justify his positions and argue with people, especially because of how condescending the guy is. So today, we're going to delve a little bit deeper into his history to find out where everything went so wrong. There's a recent video by Rob's Media about EthanIsOnline, which seems like, you know, kind of an after-the-fact 2-hour-long dissection. It seems like it's sort of passé, but, you know, it might be a good video. Typically, I do enjoy Rob's Media's videos, so I'm curious what he has to say about EthanIsOnline and how the content has evolved over time and the sort of downfall that he's experienced, I guess. I think it would be an interesting video. You got, this looks like Sensitive Society, Ethan, and Lex Updog here. So I'm curious to take a look at this. Might not watch the entire thing, but I would like to take a bit of a blast of the past, you know? And you know what? You know what I'd like to do here? I'd like to see, is there any sympathy, is there any empathy I can express to EthanIsOnline? Can I excuse some of Ethan's actions? Can I potentially, you know, is there any way I can defend EthanIsOnline? I thought you were gonna, oh, you're talking about the live stream VODs. I was thinking about that, but I just, I don't know. It seems like, I feel like it would be of me to publicize the VODs after I have all these members that I've gotten for watching the VODs, you know? I don't want to do that. That would feel kind of scammy. So maybe at some point I'll start publicizing the VODs, but for now, you know, I'll do the VOD. There'll be a VOD for members, and publicly I'll post the clips if you want to watch the clips. So you got to be a member to get the full VOD, basically, is the way I'm going to do it. Because I was thinking about it and I was like, I don't know. I feel like I'm being a little too greedy here, you know what I mean? I don't want to sin in that way. Idiot influencers, EthanIsOnline.
You're a freak show, dude. You're so desperate.
Yeah, man. I'm desperate. I think that 15-year-old deserved it. He never should have brought up Ian's wife. I'm a little overweight. I don't like how it feels.
So do something about it.
I am, asshole.
Welcome back to Idiot Influencers. Today, we'll be recounting the story of EthanIsOnline, someone I've covered before on this channel who needs his own video. The more I dig into this person's online history, the worse it gets. He's made too many bad videos to count, so here, we'll be taking a closer look at his past and present controversies. This is the disastrous internet career of EthanIsOnline, the biggest lolcow on BreadTube.
Becoming political. Here we go.
Ethan created his channel back in 2014, simply calling it Siora. His early content is deleted, though the oldest video on his channel is from January 2017, when he was 17 years old. And honestly, these videos are alright. Nothing great, but hey, it's a lot better than when I was posting in 2017.
Today I'm going to review...
How old is Ethan again? 23, 24? EthanIsOnline age. 22? I thought he was more older than that. I thought he was a few years older than me. 24, it looks like, according to some other sources. Interesting. Only a couple years older than me. As a member, I think I prefer some kind of other members' content. Would actually prefer your VODs available to everyone. I'll think about that. The thing is, like, I don't really have... At the moment, I'm focusing on Turkey Tom stuff a lot, so I don't really have time to dedicate to, like, other members' content personally right now. At some point in the future, it's possible that I'll, you know, do more members' content, but part of the reason that I ended the Tomboys podcast is I feel like I didn't have a lot to talk about at some points in time, and I don't want to phone it in anymore. And I also just, it was like I was becoming increasingly strapped for time to do that, you know?
The Lego set 8964.
Whoa.
The titanium.
Rob's Media is like me, dude. What the hell? He's just like me. He did Lego reviews. I've never done Lego reviews, but I will say I did recently purchase a Lego set, which is, you know, we got the 3-in-1 gift set, all right? Batman 1989 movie edition, all right? We got the Batwing, we got the Batmobile. It comes with 3 versions of Batman and 2 versions of Joker. And I haven't built the Batmobile yet, but I will be building it. And I did build the poly bag, so probably after this stream I'll be building the Batmobile after I get some more work done. But
Command rig.
Ethan was clearly inspired by the edgy commentary channels of the time, like iDubbbz and Ethan Klein, with his oldest public video being a rant about the channel Mr. Gear. He'd slowly start to post more consistently, though it's possible he deleted much of his older videos. It featured a mix of video game content, reviews, and short commentary style content. Most notable is his video on Onision, where we get to see what Ethan used to look like. God, he looks like a normal person. What happened?
I remember seeing some of these older videos Ethan made, and he kind of seemingly followed a similar trajectory to a lot of different people on YouTube, where there's a lot of these like BreadTube type guys. They used to be pretty edgy. They used to be in the sort of anti-SJW realm where they're watching, like, I don't know, Chris Ray Gun or Shoe on Head or Sargon of Akkad. They're watching stuff like that, and that's the kind of content they reflect in their teenage years. And then as they grow a little older, they become more sensitive to social issues, and they go like full kind of like bread tube / leftist socialist kind of in that realm. It's like a troll's remorse type thing, right? This is like a big thing that I've noticed a lot of tubers do. It's interesting. Bro's doing Warhammer Jr. Hey, this is not like Warhammer. Legos are way cooler. Get out of here.
It's really interesting to hear Ethan give good takes, which is especially impressive since Onision wasn't as hated back in 2017. Still hated, but not as much as he is now.
The problem with Onision is that the more you criticize him, the more attention you give, the more he just absorbs it like a sponge. You cut off the head and 2 more grow back, but this time they're vegan. And there are a lot of why.
Dude, that's an awesome Onision video. Look at my vegetarian body. That video is so cool. I like that video a lot. Half these people are straight up proof of the concept the toaster, they'd be normal if not for the internet. The internet is a big like pull for people. It really changes the way they think. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing always, because, you know, the internet is a great wealth of information. There's so much stuff you can access. There's so much different lore and content to watch, and it's not necessarily a horrible thing all the time. But I will say that a lot of people I've covered, definitely a common thread I'll notice is like, wow, this person started spending every single waking hour of theirs on their computer, and past that point, they started slowly devolving towards some kind of breaking point when they have a mental breakdown and change irreversibly in a way that cannot be fixed. I do notice that kind of thing a lot. A Lego building stream would be the best Chanukah gift. I probably won't do that. I kind of like to build the Legos alone. You see, it's like a personal, private thing. I like to keep it to myself. You know, I sit down, listen to some Creepcast, maybe build a Lego set. It's a good way to end the night.
I don't particularly care for Onision videos out there, and none of them quite address the points that I would like to address today. And obviously I think these videos are very legitimate, some of them, especially coming from the ones of the people he's harassed. But speaking from someone who has a very small voice on the internet and has never interacted with Onion Man, I'd like to give my 2 cents.
Something that I'll also commend him for is his editing skills. It really stood out to me in his 2003 Hulk video, and it clearly caught people's attention. I mean, soon, he'd start editing for another YouTuber, Nick is.
Oh, I knew they were friends and they were content creators, obviously, at the same time. I didn't know that he edited for Nick before he became his best buddy. I didn't know that happened at all. These guys are not friends anymore, by the way. I don't know if you guys remember this lore, but there was some message that I think that because they had a falling out post Super Mega drama, there was some message Ethan had sent Nick trying to get him to talk to him, and Nick didn't respond. Probably because he realized that, you know, a lot of his problems seemingly came from his friendship with Ethan. It just wasn't a good idea. Not that Nick doesn't have his own agency, but, you know, when he was going, you know, super balls deep into the Super Mega drama and, you know, telling a lot of lies publicly, it seems to me like a lot of that was out of support for his friend Ethan, which is a noble thing to do. But, you know, when you have a public platform, regardless of if you think you're doing it for the right reasons, you're obviously going to face some pushback if you do something effed up, right? But I remember that they had some conversation, or Ethan tried to initiate a conversation. Nick like ghosted him, and Ethan was then like talking about a live stream. He was like, "You're a apologist. You apologize for saying that Matt Watson deserves to be punched? You suck, dude." I remember that. That was yeah, they're not boys anymore, so to speak. I'm curious to see some of these old videos though from Ethan Is Online. The Gearspiracy, collectible cosmetics and games. So he was making videos for quite a while, but he started really blowing up, it looks like, when he started like going after Ben Shapiro, Keemstar, Tucker Carlson, and what's this guy? Greg Gutfeld, right? He got a little bigger through these kinds of videos. And he, you know, conservative Wikipedia is Unhinged featuring Chad. I noticed a lot of parallels between Ethan and Jake Doolittle, but they're obviously, they are different breeds of people, but you know, I do notice a lot of parallels for sure. Man, crazy. That's a crazy look. That's a crazy look, bro.
It's not green, a consistent character in our story. This is something Ethan would mention in his 2021 Q&A video, which he made around the time he reached 4,000 subscribers.
Nadia Barcelona asked, how many people do you edit for? I only edit for one person other than myself, and that's Nick. I edit I'd say 40% of the second channel videos that he puts out. I could not be happier or luckier to be in the position that I'm in. I'm super grateful, and Nick, if you're watching this, I'm lying. I'm lying about everything I just said. Shut up.
Man, I forgot how big Nick Is Not Green was. I was recently, because I saw this video I recommended, and I decided to just do a little cursory research. Nick Is Not Green, he was huge, dude. So this is his original channel where he was doing pretty well. These are like higher effort videos, I would say, than the typical stuff he became known for. You know, he had a little more production value in these. But I mean, he got to, you know, almost 700K here. He was doing pretty well. But his other channel, Green is Not Nick, the quote unquote, like, it's like the equivalent of like Nick is Not Green is Turkey Tom. And then Green is Not Nick is like Tom Dark, right? This channel was so big, man. Look at these views. 700,000, 900,000, 600,000, 600,000, 600,000, 1 million. He was crushing it regularly. He was absolutely destroying the game for a little bit there. And, you know, came back to bite him in the ass a little bit because a lot of his videos were very sensationalist and had a lot of problems even before the super mega thing, which blew up in his face in a major way. But, I mean, he was absolutely crushing it in terms of the quote unquote slop community. Nick was sponsored by a law firm. Oh, it's probably Morgan & Morgan. They sponsor a lot of YouTubers.
Also in 2021, Ethan would branch out to doing more political commentary, first calling up Ben Shapiro. Here, Ethan mentions being a fan of HBomberGuy, a breadtuber known for his videos debunking conservative conspiracy theories. Breadtubers are basically left-wing online creators who discuss political topics alongside other issues in pop culture. It's very evident here that Ethan was inspired by this type of content to make his own, using it.
HBomberGuy for these like leftist video essayist guys is like Leafy for like the gameplay guys. Like he changed the game fundamentally for them. So many people were inspired by them because initially when I was watching Ethan, I was like, all right, this feels like it's, or even Nick is Not Green, I was like, this feels like it's very inspired by like Drew Gooden or Danny Gonzalez, people who are like, you know, mainstream commentators who, you know, obviously they have kind of a left-leaning angle, but there's, you know, they make good videos for the most part. You know, Danny Gonzalez has had some cringe moments, but overall, you know, their video, I get why their videos work. I get who watches them, but I think the thing I missed was that it was kind of like half inspiration from there. And then they kind of were like also slightly more political because they were also fans of HBomberGuy. It was like HBomberGuy and Drew Gooden had a child and those, or had like several children. And that was all these guys basically. Right. And it was kind of like commentary videos in the sense of like Drew Gooden, but had more of a political angle and they could upload it regularly. You know,
to go after an easy target like Ben. Not saying that's a bad thing, but it's obvious that Ethan was seeing how this was received by his audience before tackling other topics. He'd also make videos criticizing other conservative content like the Babylonian Bee, a Jim Brewer comedy special, and Sigma Male TikToks. Ethan would realize that these sorts of videos did way better than his usual content, typically doubling or tripling in views. This would skyrocket him into emerging leftist spaces on YouTube, where he'd become friends with our good pal Nick. The two would first collab in November 2021.
Yo, if we get 5,000 likes, I will pay Ethan half of what I usually pay him.
No, guys, don't like the video.
Crazy fart sound effect. He's just like me. He's just like me, dude. Out of curiosity, I assume a lot of you watch the Tom Dark channel if you're watching this channel, right? For those who saw the worst soy boy on YouTube, the video about Jake Doolittle, what did you think about that video? Because I put a little bit more kind of effort into that video in particular with the production, and I also edited it myself. Like I did all the editing on that video. So I'm curious how you, like, did you guys think that video was markedly better than the average Tom Dark video that I do, or was it kind of like whatever? Like, did you see it as like this is a standout video on this channel, or did you see it as like just another video? And be genuine about it. I don't want to like be glazed, because I want to know if I should do more editing on that channel and like put more time into it, you know? The intro was solid. Yeah, well, the intro I was trying to, initially for that video, I was like, all right, I'm going to do green screen for the whole video, but I realized that I would have to stand up for all of that, and it would be kind of cringe. And on top of that, like, first of all, I didn't want to stand for the whole video. It was going to be a pain in the ass and take a lot more time to record. And secondly, it was going to be kind of cringe, I think, in terms of like, it would be too much falling into the parody, the guy I was parodying. The third thing on it is it would have taken a lot more time to get out if I had done that. I like the outro. I noticed it was better, but I feel like more edited and higher quality stuff should be on Turkey Tom. I'm trying to up the production on everything right now. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make everything better, because this year I got really good at, like 2024, I got really good at getting stuff out consistently and like relatively, you know, getting goals done consistently. But I'm kind of having a new approach right now where like my approach for next year is like back to basics, making the content as good as possible while maintaining the upload schedule to the best of my ability. That's like my goal. So I'm trying to like make everything a little bit better, make everything a little bit better, basically. I'm thinking a lot about that kind of stuff. Do you ever take a break? I mean, yeah, I get off and, you know, I get off stream and I build Legos or play video games. Yeah. I've been doing more of that lately. Do you tooch the digital PP? What does that even mean? What am I even supposed to say to that? Put that ever into Turkey Tom. I'm trying to do it on everything. I have been, like the Mr. Girl video. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but I edited that myself. And I'm currently working on a video talking about Schmorky that I'm planning to probably edit myself. I'm trying to get back to basics and get re-involved in a lot of the parts of the content that I think people liked. Bring back the OG Turkey Time credit song. Maybe I will. I want to look for a new credit song. I want to look for a new one. I did get a song commissioned. I had a cover of a Devin Townsend song, Super Crush, commissioned. That's pretty good that I might start using soon. It might be a little too heavy though.
Yeah, that's right. I was gonna be generous and be like, yo, I'll double it up. Hell no.
Nah, Nick is
Hell
never generous.
Now, 2022 is when Ethan's content really started to shift in quality. They're still decent production-wise, but in terms of what he's saying, not so much. Now, the videos from this time period weren't really looked at with a critical lens, at least until much later. This is back before Ethan started getting into drama, or should I say, losing at drama he started. First, let's go over his video.
The extra effort shows. Well, thanks. Yeah, I'm trying to, like I said, I got pretty good at production schedule stuff, but I feel like the thing that got lost in that a little bit is personality to an extent. I'm trying to get more of my personality to come across through the editing and through my narration, just like taking a little bit more time, which means that in 2025, I think the videos might come out a little less frequently, at least on the main channel, but I think it'll be worth it just because I think it matters. I think it does matter to make really good videos. I would like to do that. They're hiring an editor. I mean, I already have editors that are helping me out for sure. And I'm not like not working with editors, but it's like I also want to edit. Like I edited some videos recently and I was like, I have a lot of fun doing this.
Video, The Most Insecure Men on TikTok, where he criticizes members of the NoFap movement, specifically the extremists of that movement, showing how hyperbolic they can be. My issue comes with the fact that Ethan is coming at this from the complete opposite extreme, as in, he's coming at this from someone who's way too sex positive.
I don't even know how much money you spend on cigarettes, but you have to still spend money. Oh, and how do you access it? Just type in a 7-letter website. Not to mention how so much harder it is to quit, because this is a real addiction.
Because is a real addiction. Crack, you can stop that anytime, but nah.
A lot of his criticism boils down to Ethan trying to paint these guys as loser incels who hate women, trying to grift off mentally ill boys.
So we're really getting down to the core of why so many people are nofap. They're incels. They're just incels.
I feel this is so, when people say stuff like this, like, okay, so the idea of like nofap and never jerking off or never gooning, never, right? If you're going to say that like, it's like a guy who is abstaining from all sex, abstaining from all sexual urges, if you want to say that's like a little cringe, like, okay, whatever. But like the idea that like addiction is not a real thing, I feel like the only people who say that are people who are completely addicted to pornography. Like obviously like, is addiction necessarily as serious as like a crack addiction on like an individual scale? Like if you're addicted to versus addicted to crack, will being addicted to crack probably ruin your life a lot faster? Yes, obviously. But like obviously if you're addicted to anything to a certain extent, it can be very bad for you. If you're jerking off to multiple times a day, you're probably a lot less inclined to go seek out women in real life. I feel like a lot of the nofap stuff is kind of the opposite of being an incel. It's like if you're an incel and you've fallen into this idea that you just don't care about IRL personal interaction anymore, like you're like, all right, I'm just giving up. I can't have sex, therefore I won't. Like I feel like that's very different from I don't want to jerk off to anymore because I want to have more positive interactions with real women, right? Like 1000% will warp the way that you view girls, for sure. Warp the way that you view women in general. I think if anything, a lot of the time is less of a liberating thing. I think it contributes more to misogyny than anything, because you can become addicted to anything. Yeah, no, of course, 1000%. That's 1000% true. But obviously, like, is a thing that I feel like a lot of people just accept. Everyone jerks off to, everyone does it. It's fine. Do it as much as you want. And I don't think that's the right mentality. I haven't watched in many years because I've had a girlfriend. Yeah, but a lot of guys, the thing is, a lot of girls, they have boyfriends and their boyfriends watch and they don't see that as like a bad thing. And that's like I feel like that's not good. I feel like the less you watch, the better. I get it. I get guys watch. Okay. I understand. I have watched in my life. I've watched a decent amount, as much as any other teenage dude. I watch, but like the less you watch, I think the better off you are in general. The desensitization to the overconsumption is so linked with sex positivity. I mean, these movements are, definitely like there's like a lot of, Venn diagrams you can draw for sure. Why would you need it if you're in a relationship? Well, that's the thing. A lot of guys, like, they just jerk off to and then they start dating a girl and they will them, but they'll still watch regardless. Cause like I said, like I think it is an addiction in that way. Like hypothetically, you should just be waiting to jerk off until you're with your girl. But instead guys are just like, grossly beating their all the time.
They hate women, they hate knowing that other people are having sex, and want that to stop. They're ashamed of themselves and ashamed that they have to masturbate because they can't get laid, and they want everyone else to feel the same way.
Or maybe they want to help people? Because out of all the guys he mentions, only one seems to be a grifter using this to make money. These other guys seem genuine. They're just being exaggeratory to grab people's attention, just like Ethan. The real reason why I'm talking about this video is due to Ethan's takes on addiction.
This is as good a time as any to talk about addiction, because what a lot of nofap dudes like to imply is that if you watch one time, you're addicted. Like, it's literally a real drug. That is not true.
I feel like I haven't heard anyone say that, though. Maybe I'm just not understanding because I'm not watching the full video that Ethan made. But, like, I've never heard anyone say in regards to weed, like, if you smoke weed once, you're addicted. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say if you jerk off once, you're addicted for life. I don't think I've heard that.
Addiction is actually one of the most over-reported addictions, despite the majority of people who report that they have it not actually exhibiting any symptoms of real addiction, to the point where there are prominent psychologists and sex researchers who argue that addiction isn't even a real thing. So comparing addiction to something like actual hard drugs is insane. If you heavily drink every single day for 20 years and then one day you just stop out of nowhere, you will die. And the same goes for most drugs. You can stop anytime you want. Just because it's difficult doesn't mean you're addicted to it.
If it's difficult to stop watching, you definitely are addicted to it. Like, the effects may not be the same as, like, alcohol, for sure. But, like, if you do something every single day consistently and you're like, oh, I can quit anytime I want, and you just don't. Like, that, I think you probably are addicted to it. You probably are. I think that makes sense.
Okay, let's break this down. Ethan is insisting that addictions to adult content are overreported and might not even be real. His evidence being this insider article that he doesn't even source in the description. But don't worry, I did. The reason why these psychologists and sex researchers say these addictions aren't legitimate is because they aren't listed on the DSM-5. The DSM-5 is a book detailing mental disorders, which does list addictions to video games and gambling. The reason why adult content addictions aren't listed is because this book was written in 2013, with slight revisions in 2022 and 2023. This means that the main source for this claim is outdated, and several studies have since proven that these addictions are legitimate.
Right, and obviously, like, addiction's also become a lot more pervasive since then. Not that in 2013 it wasn't an issue, but, like, you know, more people have gotten online, more younger people have gotten a lot more online and spent a lot more time watching pornography, for sure. Since then, the internet has changed a lot in, like, its accessibility to these things. And on top of that, like, just because something isn't currently recognized in the DSM-5 doesn't mean it's not an addiction and it's not real. Like, there was a time when the DSM-5 said that being gay was a mental illness, and obviously that's been changed now. Or it was probably DSM-1 or something. But there was a time when psychologists believed that being gay was a mental illness. And obviously we've changed. We have different societal standards now, and that's a good thing. But, like, you have to be open to the idea that that change can happen. Just because it's not reflected in the DSM-5 right now doesn't mean that it's not an addiction. May not be an addiction, but it's a bad habit. I mean, I think anything can be an addiction. I think, you know, anything that is a bad habit that you can't stop probably is an addiction. If it makes your life worse and you're not stopping, I mean, it could make your life better and you're not stopping and it's still an addiction.
The National Library of Medicine published the study Neuroscience of Internet Addiction, a review and update in 2015. I'll link it below, but essentially it states that these sorts of addictions are comparable to other internet addictions. You know, the ones that are mentioned in the DSM-5. And most people of common sense can see that, but Ethan's out here with the, actually. Also, it's obvious that adult content—
I feel like this is just like his attempt to dunk on— I feel like he's making these points less because he really, really believes it, and it's more because he just wanted a guy to dunk on that week to make a point on. Because it doesn't even really, like, make sense. Like, if you can recognize that drugs are an addiction, you can recognize that, like, video games can be an addiction. You can also recognize that can be, right? Catholicism never gooning since 33 AD. I mean, in theory. In theory. I wouldn't say that's always how it happens in practice.
Content addictions aren't as harmful as drug addictions. The comparison is that they both addict you in similar ways. Ethan ignores this nuance because his ultimate goal is to paint nofappers as incels. Pretty sure these guys are voluntarily celibate, as in, they want to have healthy, non-sexual relationships. I don't think this guy knows that.
This is such a huge thing, though. Everybody's an incel. Like, you just pick a guy on YouTube, you're like, how can I work in some kind of argument in such a way to paint him as if he is an incel? The term incel has lost all meaning, chat. It's over. We lost.
That means all the legitimate criticism from Ethan crumbles away once you realize he's doing this for his own benefit. I mean, come on. This guy's dating an e-whore who sells lewd pictures of herself to random men on the internet. Her entire business relies on men being addicted to porn. If he was actually a sex researcher like he claims, he would know that it's not good to consume too much adult content.
Now, I'm a very sex-positive person, and sex research is something that I'm very passionate about. In fact, this video is something that I've been trying to work on for a long time, but I've been trying not to make it so lecture-y.
Well, you failed on that front. I want to thank the YouTuber Golden Boy, who did research into this specific topic. I'll link his video below. The issue that I noticed here is that Ethan became incredibly biased towards like-minded people, as in, other leftists like him. Now, as I said in my Denims video, everyone has some level of—
Dude, this is like, for like this kind of video essayist, I feel like there's been two emerging schools of thought you see on YouTube, where you have like the EthanIsOnline, the Nick is not green, the Jake Doolittle, and then you have like the Gerbert Johnson. Like these are like the polar opposite sides of the spectrum, where like one speaks from the perspective of like, it all matters, you know, being terminally online, being a gooner is a bad thing. And you have Ethan who's like, none of it matters, it's not real. Like you have two very different schools of thought that have emerged. Two very different looking kinds of people as well. Am I addicted to water then? Yes, for sure. Easy way to tell a moron they think voluntary celibate is a way and not just what celibate is. Oh, so they think voluntary celibate is a thing and not just what celibate is? I mean, the thing is, like, it does make sense to delineate these terms, though, in the modern day, because celibacy, like the term celibacy, is usually something people use in the context of describing an incel at this point. So it does make sense to make the delineation openly. But I know what you're saying. The thing is, though, like, for the guy who made the water comparison, I don't know if you're being facetious, but you need water. You don't need porn. Like, you need water to exist. You don't need to exist. And if you feel like you do, you might be addicted.
of bias. I'm biased towards certain people, and Ethan is biased towards certain people.
So as you can obviously tell, I have a bias here. I don't understand how this became a controversy in the first place.
But with Ethan, he's not able to properly defend his bias. When you can't do that, it makes you look dishonest. There are loads of examples I'll give in this video, but the first one has to be Ethan's take on React streamers. Now, I won't dive too deep into this topic, as I've discussed it a lot this year, but Ethan outright defends the lazy content of people like Hassan Piker and Denims.
Even if a streamer played an entire video without commenting whatsoever, if they were doing it in good faith because they liked the video, I don't see anything wrong with that, provided that they credit the person who made it.
Okay.
I mean, I think the problem people would have with that is that it's bad content, first of all, right? It's not transformative content. Like, you're just watching a video, you're not adding commentary to it. So it's bad content, first of all. But the secondary argument, which is kind of harder, it's a harder point to make. The secondary sort of criticism is like it quote unquote steals views from people. And I don't know how accurate that is. I don't know what like the scientific data behind it is. But I would say, you know, off the bat, it is probably a thing to do to just take someone's video, add no commentary, and put it back up on YouTube is basically a re-upload, right? Like, if you're saying something about it, like Asmongold does, or I would argue like I do, I think that's probably a good thing inherently. You know, it is better content. It is less lazy content than just watching a video on stream. Like, I guess to me, I don't really see the appeal to me just watching a video and saying nothing about it, because if I watch content, I want to make it my own in some way. I want to make it, you know, unique to me. I want to have my perspective applied. I might not always have the most unique perspective, but I want to have at least whatever my perspective is applied to it.
Okay, but if the creator barely reacts to the video, then what's the point of watching it? Why not just watch the original? I'd rather just watch the original instead of the version of Hassan's chair in the corner blocking part of the screen. Ethan tries associating all React streamers under the same umbrella, instead of differentiating the terrible ones, because he likes the terrible ones. Not specifically because their content is good, but because he agrees with them in other areas. Then there's a video, TikTok.
Right. I mean, yeah, he's a Hassan fan. He agrees with his politics, therefore, whatever. If it was like right-wing guys doing that kind of content, he definitely would have a problem with it, no doubt.
TikTok has a comedian problem, which is just 20 minutes of him complaining about jokes he takes offense to.
They end up making really unfunny topical jokes about transgender people or gay people, I don't know, the Holocaust. And then when people say, hey, I think that's a little annoying of you, they double down and act as if it's their, like, right from God to be annoying.
But I feel like most of the time the criticism made of those jokes is not it's unfunny or it's, like, done in a poor way. The criticism most of the time is, like, you can't joke about that stuff because it's insensitive and you shouldn't be able to joke about transgender people or the Holocaust. Like, there definitely are people that are like that exist. I mean, with Dave Chappelle, look at all the backlash he got. Even when he was actually telling a lot of funny jokes about transgenderism, he wasn't like shitting on them. He wasn't like, these people are freaks and we should not respect them. He was mostly just like telling personal stories and like cracking jokes about it, right? Even when he was just doing that, a lot of the criticism was not like the joke isn't that funny. It was, you can't joke about that at all.
Comedy is the most important thing. If you can't laugh at stuff, then society ends. It's in the Bible.
You're right, Ethan. You don't have the right to be annoying. Get in the prison cell, dude. Ethan mainly focuses on TikTok clips where comedians joke around about hecklers, and his takes are as weak as always, specifically in regards to Jimmy Carr.
What, sorry? Rude? So sorry, when I said there's an ugly woman at the back, you went, hey, he's talking to me. Yeah. Rude. What's your name, madam? Kelly. Kelly, I'm gonna go soft on you, like every man that's ever seen you naked.
Woman heckles set, initiate misogyny protocol. I don't know.
Is it that misogynistic? He's just making fun of her. She heckled him. He made fun of her. It's not that big of a deal, is it? Yeah, it's like everything has to be some argument about misogyny. It's like, okay, someone in the audience went out of their way to shit on him in public. Does he not have a right to do that? How is it misogynistic? I don't get it. Oh, did we reach the goal? We reached the goal, dude. That one took a lot out of me, chat. I'm not gonna lie. My voice is we're getting hoarse here. I'm right back at it again, just like you always said. All right.
It doesn't happen as much when men do it. When men do it, it's never like, you're ugly and fat. But when women heckle, it's always immediately. Like, you dumb bitch, I'll kill you.
You made fun of a woman? Gonna hit you with the misogyny label. And by
Isn't one of the most common jokes women do about guys' appearances that they have a small dick or don't get bitches? Isn't that immediately what they go to? Like, they can do that. That's fine. It's kind of funny, but like, they 1000% do that. Like, this is not like a guys are misogynistic and women are just totally angelic at all times and never insult guys. Like, my vote for the next song is Freaking You. No, dude. No way. Maybe next stream. We're doing an easier song this time. Creep is a little easier.
By the way, from what I've heard, hecklers are basically encouraged to pester him. It's considered an honor by fans of his to be roasted by Jimmy. Ethan just hates the fact that people like Jimmy or Dave Chappelle do edgy comedy. And I'm not saying there aren't things to criticize these people for, but Ethan sucks at giving criticism.
Yeah, I mean, this is even the same thing that Jake Doolittle did. Jake Doolittle was criticizing, what's his name? Jeff Dunham. He was like, how crazy is it that one of the most popular people pushes harmful stereotypes about Arab people with his terrorism character? It's like, dude, I don't think he did that much damage to the populace, to be honest. Can the goal be a 5 to 10 minute Trump voice rant? Maybe that's a good suggestion for the next goal. Even if it was misogynistic, it's a joke. But the thing for someone like Ethan is like, he believes that it can never be a joke if you are espousing some kind of misogynistic or racist joke. And even if it is a joke to you, the harm that it does is greater than how funny it is. Therefore, it doesn't matter. Like, he doesn't think you should even be able to make jokes about that kind of stuff.
Overall, just a nothing burger video where he gets offended by jokes. A lot of the other videos he's made are just not good. He either goes after an easy target like random TikTokers, or conservative influencers that the general public already hates. It's simple content and I can't blame him for making it. And it worked, as he'd grow exponentially in 2022, renaming his channel to EthanIsOnline. By the end of the year, he had almost 200,000 subscribers. He'd also begin collaborating more with other leftist YouTubers like Gabby Bell, Jordan Adika, Chad, Ryan Beard, and Nick. Ethan would then start uploading on his second channel.
I'm curious how these guys feel about these smaller dudes. Like, obviously, Jake Doolittle's probably not getting Collabs for a while, but I'm curious how those people looked at like the super mega controversy and how they feel about it. I wouldn't be surprised if they fall more on the side of like Ethan was actually in the right and Nick is wrong for apologizing and I'm wrong for, you know, questioning the accusations on the merit of there not being a lot of proof for a lot of what they said. But I'm very curious about like what the perspective from those guys is, because they don't really get down in the muck and deal with this drama. They mostly just make videos with people that will never respond. And why wouldn't they? You know, it makes sense. But they make videos with people that will never respond, and they're less in the weeds. It's more just like, let's talk about this funny guy this week. Like Jarvis Johnson type content, you know?
Called Peathan in mid-2022. Yes, Peathan, a piss joke. Here he'd post reaction-style content, mainly just covering the same few conservatives.
Well, you know, we all got our own things. Like, he's got piss, I've got farts. You know, we all have our sort of, we all have our priorities in life. You know, I will say that it's kind of bad for him to not commit all the way. Like, you're committing to piss, but not. I feel like committing to poop is much better. Committing to poop maxing. If you're just pee maxing, you're leaving a lot on the table that could potentially be going, you know, out of the toilet bowl and onto the table realistically.
Just to farm views. I mean, across these two channels, he's made dozens of videos on Matt Walsh, Jordan Peterson, Candace Owens, and Ben Shapiro. And I mean, you can criticize these people, but Jesus, dude, 25 videos on Ben? I've talked about Ethan and...
I mean, to be clear, I don't really care about that. Like, you can milk people as much as you want. I mean, if you're doing it every single day, you're going to accrue an audience that only wants to see you on those specific people. But You know, I did a bunch of videos about Jake Doolittle. That content was awesome. Because I feel like every day for an entire week there was something to talk about. So I was like, all right, I'll talk about it, you know. He's providing us a lot of content. It was like the first day we had his original video. The second day, I think we went back to the past a little bit for his older content. The third day, I think we had the copyright strikes. We had his Instagram response. The fourth or fifth day, I think we had his final response on YouTube. Like, there was a lot to go over there. I love it, dude. I absolutely love it. The stream has 420 likes. We got to pump those numbers up. Like the stream.
And like 4 videos, and even that's way too much. Also, he's made a ton of videos on Shane Dawson, even watching his movie with, denims.
Let's
of course,
go.
these guys are friends.
Dude, the nightmare piss rotation is back, dude. You walk into a bathroom and see these people all using urinals, it's going to be a dark day.
The apple doesn't fall far from the... Now, one of the main videos that really put Ethan on the map was Lazy Content is Radicalizing People, where he goes after a certain type of commentary channel. You know, the ones who talk...
Oh, this is the video he made about, I think it was Sensitive Society and Cheeto, maybe. I think Sensitive Society to this day is going after Ethan for that video. I think he doesn't like it, but I do remember that happening. I don't think I've actually seen this video all the way through. I think he made the argument that Sensitive Society was like radicalizing people because he made gay jokes or something, but I honestly haven't seen the entire video.
Talk about random internet news of Leafy-style gameplay footage. Again, this video could have been fine, but the way he criticizes these guys comes off as spiteful and hypocritical. Specifically, his lousy attempt at going after Sensitive Society.
Ethan versus Oscar, let's see it.
Sensitive Society makes your typical daily commentary videos and currently has over 500,000 subscribers. Channels like this are bound to get into drama, with his biggest being the many back and forths he's had with Ethan here. Ethan is seemingly going after him because he believes channels like this are radicalizing people into believing right-wing talking points. It's really flimsy because a lot of that is just Ethan not liking jokes made at the expense of fat people.
Here's the thing, I do think that people choose to be fat. I do believe that there's some people that are just so lazy and they just love to eat junk food and they can't go one day without having a burger shoved down their throat. I do believe that. That's on you.
Jesus Christ, what is wrong with you? The escalation of that sentence was just crazy.
Was it? That's true. I mean, there's definitely people who are fat who have like a thyroid issue or some kind of medical condition that's very hard to solve. You can't just like eat better food. You know, their body doesn't process food normally. You don't have a normal metabolism, but definitely for a lot of people, it is a choice. I think to some extent it might be a food addiction, to be honest. I think they might have some kind of addiction to food that they need to get help for, but you're still making a choice to actively engage in that and gain weight. Like, I don't think it's how was that like a hot take? Yeah, you can do things in your life and you have personal responsibility where if you eat a certain amount of food with a certain amount of sugar content or fat content, you don't exercise, you probably will get fat. Like, that's what happens. That's normal.
To hear. I do think it's a choice to be fat, but some lazy just can't stop stuffing burgers in their mouth. Like, oh my god, being honest about how much you hate fat people for looking fat is way less disturbing than what you just said.
I'm gonna be honest, guys. If he thinks it's not disturbing to say that, I don't like the way fat people look. To be honest, I don't like it, you know. I'm not gonna, you know, meet a fat guy and just like shit on him instantly and be like, F you, dude. But, you know, if somebody's my friend and they're gaining a lot of weight, I might say something to them and be like, hey, man, what's going on, big guy? I think you need to stop eating so much. Like, you know, maybe here's like some workout tips or something. Here's some basic dieting tips. Stay away from the Hostess. Stay away from the soda, you know. I feel like that's good. Like, is he just mad that like people are mean to fat people, or is he mad about like the reality of the situation? Like, I feel like if I was fat, I wouldn't be proud of it. You know, you don't have to hate yourself for it, but you should be realistic with like, all right, it's obviously a bad thing to be fat. I need to change things about me and the way that I live to like, this is not even like what I'm saying here is not like some kind of hot take. It shouldn't be. This is like a normal thing everyone in the real world understands. Where's the Jake Doolittle duet? Oh, hold on. I'll pull up his dancing video for the creep one. I'll have his dancing video ready. So when I do creep, if that happens this stream, we still got a while to go. We got $5 to get there. Why are you so fat? Well, I just love eating food. That's the real thing. That's the real thing. The thing is, I think if I didn't work out, I probably would get fat because a lot of the time I eat like so I probably would get fat. Gaining weight is generally a symptom of eating badly, yeah. Thank you for the charities in money, Jace Parker. Do appreciate it, brother. Fat men aren't as strange looking as fat women. In my opinion, fat looks really masculine and it's gross too. It's masculine and gross, so it looks weird on women. I don't think anybody should be fat. I think you should be trying not to be fat. I think it's for the best to not be fat as much as possible.
Obviously, being fat is not a choice. The amount of corn sweeteners in things that do not need them in the United States is unreal. Did you know there's high fructose corn syrup in things like chips, crackers, bread, and
Yes, everyone knows this. You should try not to eat that stuff if you can. Yeah. You should just try not to eat that if you can, dude. Like, just stop eating chips. Eat an apple. Are you excited for the Branch Davidian revival? I'm super hyped.
And not only that, but there are a multitude of factors that dictate your weight.
Oh, it's going to be some kind of capitalism argument. It's going to be like, how can you not be fat in a society where capitalism exists and puts red 40 into food? So it's capitalism's fault, right? That's going to be the argument somehow.
Genetics being the most important factor.
Does this guy not know what self-control is? Oh, it's not my fault I weigh 400 pounds. It's all the stuff they put in my food. Okay, then just...
The thing is, like, genetics 1000% are a factor. Like, your metabolism does slow down with time, but if that happens and you don't want to be fat, you have to change the way that you live so that you're not fat anymore. Or if you want to be fat, you can accept that, but you will be fat. And, like, obviously, you're viewed differently if you're an obese person, and that's just normal. Like, if you look like a guy who goes to the gym and works out, you're going to command a little bit more respect than somebody who doesn't go to the gym and works out, based on first appearances. And it's just based on the fact that one person has control of their life and one clearly doesn't.
Just don't eat that food. This is literally the logic of an addict. This rant goes on for another minute, by the way. Just him blaming being fat on stuff outside his control, like genetics.
Now, I always say this, if you have a medical condition or it's like beyond you because you were born a certain way, that's fine. I will never make fun of someone for something they cannot change. You could change your weight. You're just honestly lazy.
But you totally would and probably have. You just had an unhinged rant about made up fat people who can't stop eating burgers. Not a real thing.
What do you mean not a real thing? These people exist. What do you mean? You think every fat person you see walking around on the street has some kind of medical condition and they're not just eating a lot of food? You just described how the American diet is so disgusting and how there's so much crap in like chips and candy and fast food. And you then go on to say that, oh, you think that fat people just eat it and get fat? Yeah, actually, that is what happens. Is there no such thing as free will? Does that not exist?
Ethan, buddy, that's clearly you. Bro went from a normal looking guy to looking like the soy boy stereotype. Honestly, he's probably where that joke started from. Ethan first calls out Oscar over the video, "People like this disgust me," which he fails to link in the description. Why? Well, because he cuts Oscar out of context and doesn't want his audience to know that.
I mean, he definitely cut him out of context, but I don't think not linking a video in the description is necessarily a malicious thing. When I'm reacting to videos, I link them in the description because I will react to the whole thing usually, but I don't think it's necessarily a malicious thing to not link a video in the description. I don't think that's always the case, to be honest. I mean, the audience can easily just go find the video if they want. And the people watching Ethan, they probably don't care that he's taking Oscar out of context anyway.
Started my day pretty early at around 2 a.m., so I went to my local gas station for a couple drinks, went home and did my normal usual routine, and then I had to go to Walmart because my fridge was almost empty. Came home, edited a couple videos, had a 4-hour stream that peaked at...
Oh, this is the guy that's, he's like Vyoko's roommate or whatever. This guy's kind of funny.
56 viewers and average 23, and then I was pretty tired.
You're acting like this is the
I'm pretty sure that guy's trolling. I'm pretty sure Vyoko and that dude, looking back, I'm pretty sure they're just completely trolling. I don't think they give a shit at all. I think they're baiting, basically. That's my impression.
Hardest thing in the world.
Hey man, so when did he say that? When did he ever say the word hard or any synonym? You have the clips, like you could show it.
God, I hate how smug he is about this. Here's what Ethan purposely cut out.
Okay, but the guy he's initially responding to, Sensitive Society is responding to, is trolling, I think. But at the same time, like, do you have to literally say something for it to be the implication? Can we not understand that, like, words have meaning beyond what they literally say out loud?
Content creation is harder than your 9 to 5. You really don't know how much hard work goes into creating multiple videos a day.
He did just cut him out of context. What the I mean, to be clear, Oscar got baited by a troll. But at the same time, Ethan's getting baited by something that Sensitive Society didn't even do. It's like multiple layers.
Constantly creative with new video ideas, trying to make footage look good, getting new shots, taking many takes over and over. It can get to be a lot.
Oh no, you didn't. This man said, this guy, being a content creator is harder than working a 9 to 5.
This is really dishonest from Ethan, and he knows his audience isn't going to seek out the original. Ethan goes on about this one video for...
I wonder if it's like intentional dishonesty or if he watched like 3 minutes of a Sensitive Society video and that was it. Like, I wonder how intentional this is from him. It's hard for me to tell how much he intentionally takes someone out of context. Getting inside of these guys' head is very difficult. I'm on that Ozempic grind set. Ozempic's probably a bad idea. I can't be, you know, I'm not a medical professional, but Maybe if you've exhausted every other avenue to losing weight. Dude literally has a vid, creating content's harder than you. Think I woke up today and didn't feel like streaming today, so I went back to bed. Yeah, but I think he's trolling. I don't think he's being serious about that, to be honest. I think he's full of I think it's on purpose to bait people, honestly.
Another 10 minutes, and just repeats the same points about how Oscar is pretentious and makes lazy content, which could be valid criticism, but it gets annoying fast. What Ethan is trying to do is label Oscar as a gateway to the far right, radicalizing people by presenting groups in a negative light.
This is like, I just don't get this. Like, if you think being fat is bad, you're contributing to fascism. Why must everything be fascism? Even if you're from the perspective that Ethan has, or being fat is somehow a good thing, why must you link it to like neo-Nazis? Why must you? Why must that be the conclusion? To be honest, I doubt that Sensitive Society, the Mexican guy who makes videos about whatever cringe is going on this week, has a very big neo-Nazi following. I highly doubt that. The struggle with weight was discipline to lose it. I mean, that's what you need, I guess, discipline, ultimately, you know? Some people need it less than others. Genetics are definitely a factor, but yeah. Like, there are some people who are just like, basically they look jacked and have like a six-pack without trying, right? And other people don't and have to try. And like, obviously these disparities are annoying to deal with, but you know, we live in a world where, you know, you're born a certain way and then you have to be responsible for your own actions past that.
It really isn't that deep. It's just him making jokes about fat people. Ethan tries to compare this behavior to libs of TikTok.
It's an extremely common line of logic with trans people. The entire Libs of TikTok Twitter account is dedicated to that same logic. You see one cringe non-binary teenager on TikTok and suddenly every conservative is like, yeah, this is reality. This is a completely unavoidable thing that everyone has to deal with unless we, I don't know, trans people or something.
This is behavior I've noticed.
Trans people? Did Sensitive Society say anything like that? Is he just saying that Sensitive Society leads people to watch people who think that all trans people should? Is that what he even said? You got to understand, people are going to be very sensitive to that kind of argument. The idea that a normal commentary channel that's just like making fun of people for being cringe, the idea that that guy is contributing to fascism is going to be a very high bar to reach. And you need to have a very high standard of evidence for that. If you're just kind of talking out of your ass, it's going to be perceived very poorly, which it seems like Ethan was doing here.
From other leftists like Noah Samson by claiming they're a gateway to the alt-right because they don't share the exact same beliefs as them.
Some of my views are conservative, some of my views are left-wing. I think his biggest concern is that the left-wing part of my audience are going to suddenly be exposed to the most dangerous thing of all, which is a different perspective. God forbid people on the left explore some of the viewpoints that exist on the right, because that is scary.
If you want to say that Oscar's videos are lazy,
that is a big argument from a lot of BreadTube guys. It's like, why would I ever have a conversation with this guy who's right-wing and platform? And why would I give him a platform to defend himself when his ideas are intrinsically bad? And I think most of the time, the way that it comes across to the audience is you're actually just running from a debate because you feel like you can't justify why you feel the way you feel. I eat fast food for months when I'm on the road. Why am I fat? Well, I think there's no reason. I think it's not your fault is the thing. You're sitting all day in a truck, okay, in your cab, eating fast food all day, not moving. Why could you ever be fat? Why could you ever possibly be fat whatsoever? It doesn't make sense at all.
Go ahead. I mean, he'd probably agree with you. But you lose me when you necessarily bring politics into it, to label Oscar something he's clearly not.
But everything for him is politics. Like when he made that video about Alex Rosen, instead of like criticizing him on the basis of his like bad Predator cash during EDP, he made it about like this guy is a chud and is right wing because he went on Michael Knowles' show or something. It's like, don't you think there's more here? I feel like there's probably more to discuss. That's not just like he's just clearly a seething guy who hates right wing people.
I do feel bad for the people who are just minding their own business, plus size people, if you will, and they just get on for no reason. I don't think that's cool. I think you're just a dick and a douchebag if you're harassing innocent people.
Yeah, I actually fully agree. You know, for example, if you made videos called "She Thinks Being Fat is Healthy and We Should Only Date Fat People," here's my response. These people think being fat is healthy. If you're not...
Is making a video about someone's bad takes harassing them? Is making a video arguing with someone harassing them? It's no more harassing them than these people making videos about how everyone's fat phobic for not wanting to be fat are harassing that kind of audience. Like, I don't really see it. I don't get it. I don't really understand this argument at all. How is it harassing someone to make a video talking about them existing?
Fat, you're fat phobic, not something anyone has ever said. This is not healthy. This is what being healthy in 2022 looks like. Pathetic. Gen Z thinks being skinny is racist. Again, no one thinks that. Go outside.
Ethan, he's calling out the extremists in the fat acceptance movement.
Yeah, and even by this logic, Ethan is harassing Sensitive Society by talking about him existing. Like, what is this even? What is this argument? It's so lazy. He probably made this video in one day. He's not even trying. Like, if you want to represent your side the best in your perspective, would you not try to make the most cogent, salient arguments that are like subject to at least a little bit of nuance rather than this like low effort slop?
Those aren't normal people minding their own business. Also, the gall for this guy to say go outside when he looks like he's about to tell me about the harvest moon.
It is one of the most frustrating aspects of channels like this, knowing that them and their audience are the vocal majority on the internet by a lot, and then still manage to pretend like SJWs are the ones in real control and they're the brave vanguard fighting back by saying whatever.
Is that what Sensitive Society does? Does he say the SJWs are in control and he's the brave vanguard? I've never heard Sensitive Society try to make some like, granted, I haven't seen all of his videos. I've never heard him be like, guys, I'm fighting the good fight in any way that has not been ironic. I've never seen him be like, guys, I'm fighting the good fight. I'm saving the world from fat TikTok people. Like, I don't really understand that. He's just making like, he's not a part of some political movement. He's just making commentary videos where he talks about things that he's interested in. He even criticizes like Ben Shapiro and shits on him. Like, I don't really get how this guy is like some kind of right-wing ideologue personally.
Everyone else is too scared to say. Brother, I've got some news for you. Steven Crowder is one of YouTube's favorite white supremacists. They have
Is Steven Crowder a white supremacist? Maybe I missed something. I don't really like Steven Crowder. I made a video about him and his whole personal falling out with his wife and his coworker, Not Gay Jared, which by the way is the name that he calls himself. But I don't understand how he is a white supremacist. I could be wrong here. I haven't seen that. This is not me being like Ethan's wrong. This is just a genuine question. Is he a white supremacist? He's crazy. Yeah, no, I don't think that Steven Crowder is of totally sound mind. I don't know that he's a white supremacist though. He's a racist? Is he? I haven't really seen that. Maybe that is the case. I honestly was under the impression Steven Crowder was a very like normie conservative. I don't understand why people embody criticisms when they aren't even in the crosshairs of say criticism. At the end of the day, the old saying, if the shoe fits applies. It's just frustrating watching white knights. Yeah, ironically, while Sensitive Society is supposedly part of this big right-wing ecosystem to help out Steven Crowder or something, since Ethan is Online is actually a part of some kind of like content ecosystem to fight for what he believes in, which is fine. But I think that he is ascribing a lot more intention and belief to Sensitive Society than actually exists whatsoever.
Have constantly bent the terms of service around keeping him on the platform, when they should have permanently banned him years ago. But because he brings in a good amount of money for him, they don't care. Steven Crowder thinks exactly the way Sensitive Society does about fat people.
There he is again, comparing Sensitive Society to a conservative. This is reaching in Praise of Shadows levels of bad. Oh wow, this guy makes fun of fat activists? You know who else makes fun of them? Fascists.
Sensitive Society.
Wendigoon wears Hawaiian shirts. Who else wore Hawaiian shirts? The Boogaloo Boys. I actually saw Wendigoon personally January 6th. I was there. I was an FBI agent covering what was happening, and he was there.
And the gang of freaks that all make videos just like him constantly lure people into more and more radicalizing content. You watch a video where Sensitive Society says a fat person on Broadway is like a blind person flying a plane, then you find out, oh hey, Ben Shapiro thinks that way too. Oh hey, they've both done videos about how much they...
So because they agree that being fat is bad, which is like a perspective that the majority of normal people have, they are like all related and interconnected in this constellation of right-wing content. I just completely disagree with that. I don't buy into that whatsoever. I don't think that's real. I don't think that's real at all. How have you demonstrated that? Because they agree that being fat is bad and they make some of the same criticisms. They are like, I don't, what the f is the point here?
They hate Lizzo. Oh, Jordan Peterson also hates black and fat people. And before you know it, that person's only consuming
the Crowder racist remarks are from behind the scenes recordings. Oh, I haven't heard that. Gotcha.
Racist propaganda. And I know this very well because it happened to me. When I was a teenager, I fell down a right-wing pipeline that led me to unironically liking Jordan Peterson. It all has to start somewhere. And in my opinion, there's no...
Everyone fell down the right-wing pipeline, apparently. Every breadtuber on YouTube was an ex-alt-writer. Shout out Xander Hall. They were all so racist because they thought that Jordan Peterson saying to clean your room was a good thing.
No excuse for being such an obvious part of it when it's not hard to educate yourself on what the world is actually like.
Don't worry guys, he's totally not an extremist anymore. It's not like you to switch to being an extremist on the other end of the political spectrum. Then Ethan reveals the real reason he's making this video. Oscar made a video criticizing Nick.
This is like a discount Cody Co. There's something about him that's really punchable. He's everything I hate and someone who most likely would have gotten bullied at high school for being an annoying, pretentious prick.
It's just so exhausting to hear people flounder around to try to find reasons to hate Nick and his content. Like, you could be jealous that he makes real videos. That's fine. It's okay.
You can be jealous that he makes real videos. I mean, I don't think the Sensitive Society was making a great point there by saying that Nick is not green is punchable. I don't think that's like a super intellectual take or anything like that, certainly. You know, I'll agree with that. That was a weak criticism. But the idea that like Nick is not green makes real videos and Sensitive Society makes fake videos, like they're essentially doing the same thing. Nick just makes them a lot longer and uses his face, but they're essentially the same thing, dude. Thanks for being such a great role model to other fat autistic people. No problem, African nationalist. Thank you for the 5, brother.
Okay, just be honest about it.
Oh yeah, real content like the epidemic of fake beanbag reviews and role-playing stinky TikTok POV.
This is the real content. Sensitive Society has fallen off. He is making content that is cringe. He's making content about stuff that nobody cares about. However, Nick is not green. He's talking about the importance of beanbag reviews, okay? He is the guy who is making real content. Like, what is this pretentiousness? What is this?
V's. Ethan then discusses Oscar's coverage of Sneeko's ban. Oscar makes it clear that he does not like Sneeko, but doesn't like that Nick is telling his viewers to mass report Sneeko's channel. It's a very touchy subject, and I'm not going to dive too deep into it. Should Sneeko have been banned for saying those things about Chad? Probably. People just didn't like how Nick was going about it. My issue with deplatforming Sneeko is that it feeds into his persecution complex, and isolates his audience to other platforms where he can radicalize them. Ethan focuses more on defending Nick instead of being nuanced. Oscar's take isn't that great, but he's not supporting what Sneeko did. He disagrees with both sides. 2 weeks later, Oscar...
I mean, that's probably where I would fall. You know, Sneeko probably did break terms of service if I had to guess, but I still would err on the side of not encouraging censorship and banning. When you sing, I can point the speaker at my groin so it'll blast my kidney stone to gravel. I missed last time. Well, next time you'll hit it, dude. Don't you worry. But yeah, I think that usually banning people is a bad idea. I don't particularly feel bad for Sneeko because it seems like he was trying to get himself banned almost. But generally, I feel like censoring ideas is a bad way of going about it. I would rather be able to combat it within the platform they exist. Because Sneeko has gotten way more extreme since he left YouTube. Way, way more extreme. And who knows, maybe he could have had his mind changed at some point if he had been allowed on the platform that other content creators are, where they can dispute him and argue with him.
Oscar would respond back with a video humorously titled, "Addressing the Allegations Made Against Me." To make things short, Oscar thinks making his videos out to be political is dumb, and he agrees that his content is lazy.
All you need to do is keyword search a woman through any of these weirdos' videos, and it kind of tells you all you need to know. It's lazy content. Let's not beat around the bush here.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but that's what you do. That's what so many commentary channels do. You pick someone you want to criticize, you talk about them, and you post it to YouTube. It's not like some super in-depth analysis. And like, I don't really like a lot of those videos for sure. Like, I get it. Like, you know, there are a lot of content creators that I watch, and I'm like, you know, most of the time I'm probably not going to go out of my way to watch a Sensitive Society video. I'm probably not going to learn a lot from it. But like, you know, if you're doing the same thing, you're not really in a position to be like, oh, I'm making real content. These guys are making the fake content. It doesn't really mean anything, you know? Like, who am I to say like this? Who am I to sit on my live stream while I react to a video and be like, I'm the only real content creator? Who are you to sit in your room with your camera on for half an hour and talk about some other guy and be like, I'm making the real content. These guys are all lazy. It's like, you're all making the same thing. You're just from different perspectives. Is it bad that I look exactly like Papa Gut? I think Papa Gut is the most based fat online individual of all time. You need to respect him, clearly. You need to put some respect on his name. Leave him alone. By the way, in case you didn't know, this stream is brought to you by GamerSupps, where at gamersupps.gg/Tom, you can get 10% off any order. Not only that, they're doing a Christmas sale right now, where for every tub you get a free gift. So be sure to tap in there, gamersupps.gg. I like it a lot. I do like it a lot. I do enjoy the product. What's your armpits? Oh, yeah. That's bad, dude. That's pretty bad. I think I have hypertension. Who knows? Stop taking diabetic breaks. Okay, to be clear, I understand the diabetic concern. That being said, considering that I drank both of these containers of liquid during the first, 2 hours of the stream, I think there's no denying that I had a reason to piss. 2.5 hours. I had a reason to piss, okay? Leave me alone, chat. Leave me alone.
Yeah, you're damn right. It's lazy content, and I've said this many times that I make in about an hour and a half. I don't know how this is an insult. Like, I've never hidden the fact that it's easy, lazy content to make. Don't get me wrong, I love making it, and it's really fun.
I don't even necessarily have a problem with lazy content as a rule, but do you really have to exclusively talk about e-girls and OnlyFans girls and trans people and fat people?
Is that all he talks about? Is all he talks about e-girls and OnlyFans girls? I guess we're looking at his channel right now, but let's see here. Video about a racist guy, video about Mudahar, an Indian guy, video about a TikTok creep, video about denims, a woman, video about a man in KSI. Like, I don't, even if you look at his most popular videos, let's see what they are. So talking about like an evil woman, talking about another girl, talking about critical, talking about Jaden Animations. Like, is this like the content of like a racist guy just because he makes videos about women? One of his most popular videos is about I'm Alex. I just don't really see how this is like, I don't see how he's like such a racist guy. The only people he talks about are OnlyFans girls. Even if he was, can you not criticize OnlyFans women? I don't really get it. Doesn't really make sense to me. I feel like Sensitive Society has a relatively wide breadth of content.
Well, is that like really, do we really need to hear more weird?
Oh no.
Dude, you really have to talk about incels and men being cringe and calling people transphobic. Do we really have to keep doing that?
Well, you have to understand, men are bad. And men are, you know, at the top of the power society hierarchy. Therefore, they need to be criticized. You need to call them out. But, you know, Sensitive Society, all he does is criticize disenfranchised groups. Therefore, he is a part of the corporate right-wing Daily Wire hegemony. All right? Let it be known. Let it be known, dude.
Nah, can you talk about something else? Aren't you more original than this? Every single point this fucker's throwing at me, it could easily be applied to you and your stupid political takes. Being macho is cringe. This is stuff that's been said for years. Man equals bad, guys. Like, that's all you fucking talk about, dude.
Besides that, there really aren't any other big points he makes. It's just him shitposting. Sometime after this, Ethan would respond back on stream, uploading it as a video to his second channel titled, "This guy begged for me to see his response video, LMAO." It's incredibly boring because he just restates his original points over and over again. If you want to watch it yourself, the link is down below. I'm skipping it because it's just really fucking boring. The two would enter a stalemate of sorts, with neither really being seen as clearly in the right. Again, Oscar wasn't really trying to make any grand points.
I feel like this is one of those situations where Oscar's audience is going to like him, Ethan's audience is going to like him and defend him, and then people on the outside are just going to be kind of left to decide how they feel based on the points that are actually made. And I will say, it seems to me like the people on the outside, based on the points that were actually made, who are not necessarily fans of Sensitive Society or Ethan, came to the conclusion that Sensitive Society is not the greatest channel of all time, but Ethan is essentially guilty of everything that he is criticizing Sensitive Society for. That seems to be the general consensus. That's certainly how I feel. I don't feel that Ethan is online as some kind of like brave activist doing God's work.
It's against Ethan. He was just having a laugh. The drama would re-spark in mid-2023 when Sensitive Society covered iDubbbz's apology video. Ethan used this as an opportunity to make another video on Oscar, while also covering other commentary channels' takes on the apology. I'll cover this video in the next section, but this would lead to Oscar making a response back. He mainly covers how Ethan twists what people say in order
The response to iDubbbz's apology is gross.
to go after them, and also makes fun of them.
The way iDubbbz is talking about this is like if you went to Africa, brought like 10, 15 little boys to America, and iDubbbz made those people slaves and fed him nothing but beans and water. They didn't.
Why does it look like he's fucking nutty? Does my voice really turn you on that much? I will have to say this. Cool Garfield plushie and cool lava lamp. If I was 10, I would definitely be rocking this.
Now, sometime after this video...
Hey, if anyone ever makes fun of me for owning Legos or for badly singing on stream, I will have a serious problem, frankly. I will have a serious problem, all right? Garfield... Lava lamp, over the line. Sure, Among Us, over the line. But Legos, that's mature, that's cool, that's based. Especially Lego Batman, all right? I do not want to hear any call-outs on that kind of thing. That would be racist towards me as a Mexican man, frankly.
Ethan would invite Oscar on stream for a conversation. That's at least how it was pitched to Oscar. This is pretty much the climax of their feud, and I just have to go over it because it's a goldmine of stupidity. It's very clear from the start that Ethan doesn't want to have a conversation, as whenever Oscar elaborates on something, Ethan cuts him off and pretends he's changing the subject.
I remember listening to this, and I'm pretty sure at some point Ethan's like, yeah, I am kind of high. It's like, all right, well, I guess that shows how seriously you take these conversations. Like, the one time you get to talk to someone you've been shitting on forever, you just get high and are totally indifferent, seemingly, to whether you look good or not. Like, I think Ethan just thought that it would be a super easy conversation because Oscar's so dumb. He's a very pretentious person.
This person can engage in really deceptively made, really harmful right-wing content because it was the autoplay of your next video and they feel the same. They say the same thing.
Okay.
Dude, the YouTube algorithm determined that after my video, a video of someone shitting in diapers and throwing it at the walls was what they wanted to see. And I am responsible for the diaper ecosystem. I'm a big contributor, and that needs to be talked about. Wow, guys, we're actually 30% to the goal, 33%. We're 10 out of 30 donos to the goal. Guys, we're reaching the goal, which is a bad thing.
Okay, I get what you're saying. I stayed in silence because I wanted to get everything you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? This is such a unique argument because it's like, well,
it's actually not unique. I know why Oscar thinks it's unique because he's not used to dealing with these kinds of people, but it is not unique. There were a lot of people back in the day talking about how PewDiePie is responsible for some kind of right-wing pipeline by radicalizing people because he did a meme video with Ben Shapiro. This is an argument I heard all the time.
your video was next on autoplay or Ben Shapiro's.
No. I'm telling you.
That was my fault. And on top of that, I want to say, this is regarding this and regarding everything. I am not responsible.
Okay, so we're not talking about what I'm talking. We're moving on from what I was talking about.
Okay, I'll just address it here.
Well, you just don't want to talk about what you're moving on.
Bro, let the guy talk.
Let me speak!
Now, while I do agree with the basics of what Oscar is saying, he isn't the best debater. Though to be fair to him, he didn't come on expecting a debate. Ethan continually makes the conversation hostile, and even begins smoking weed to calm himself down.
I'm going to break this down, Oscar. And I need you to follow me. I need you to follow me.
Okay, I'm going to put my...
Bro, he's so condescending. He's such a douche.
My weed down, just to focus.
He thinks he's so smart, bro.
On you.
I'm going to pick my weed up.
Smoke it.
You said that...
I feel like getting high while making content is an inherently bad idea. I mean, I guess there's some people who can probably do it, but I feel like generally it's going to make you fucking retarded. Like, you're not going to be on your A game if you're getting high. I don't think you should be doing that. Is this a guy with bad knees? No, this is a different guy. Jake Doolittle and Ethan is Online, despite their similarities, are not actually the same person. But in my head, instinctively, I think that they are the same person, to the point that when I was editing the video about Jake Doolittle, I made a folder on my computer and I instinctively, without even thinking, named it Ethan is Online title cards. So when I was making the video, I was like searching for the files in my video editing software and I was like, where the fuck are these title cards? And it turned out I just named the folder Ethan is Online, so that's why I couldn't find it. Like, I instinctively do it too, so I understand your struggle with it, dude. I get it.
Buddy, can you not just put the weed pen down for a couple of hours? Imagine the smell of that house, man. I bet his girlfriend is just as much of a weed addict. You can clearly tell that he's furious, and needs the stuff to keep him from yelling and screaming.
Well, you actually can't be addicted to weed, or porn, in case you didn't know. It's impossible. And if you can be, it's not a problem, because weed and porn make you a better person. Give the $5 speech, you'll get more donos.
$5? You can't afford $5 on my stream? You're sitting here on my stream, you want to give me $5? What are you doing? Where else is the $5 going?
This is a good pause.
Screaming at Oscar. The two talk a lot about fat acceptance, with Ethan trying to get Oscar's perspective. Ethan asks if Oscar was ever fat.
What was your heaviest? Are you comfortable talking about your weight? What was your heaviest?
Well, I wasn't like a fat fuck or anything. Like, I just had a little...
Why would you say that? It's just like rude. Why would, like...
Fat fuck? Is that the worst thing ever, really? We're honing in on the fat fuck allegations. You can't say the word fat and fuck in the same sentence. Is that really the biggest? That's just like rude. That's just like a rude thing to do. Okay.
I think that's just because you're insecure you said that. That's weird.
What, fat fuck?
Yeah. You're like, I wasn't like a fat fuck. I was cooler than that. Like, I was better than that. That wasn't me.
I never
it's
thought
like,
I was better than
you have
them.
to understand how you sound when you say stuff like that. It's so weird.
Oh my god, why would you ever...
I feel like this is just how normal people talk. Like, normal people every day just say fat fuck. Even to refer to themselves as like a self-deprecating thing, which is fine. It makes sense to have self-deprecating humor about your weight if you are extremely overweight. Like, come on. Do you know how you sound? It's such like, hey man, that's not cool. That's over the line type energy.
Never say that. That's so hurtful.
I want to get an idea of what your perspective was.
Well, I didn't take it too, like, I just didn't like it. I don't like how it feels, you know? Like, I don't think it, like,
how it feels, being overweight?
Yeah.
Okay, so I know a lot of people don't like how it feels, Oscar.
Yeah.
I'm a little overweight. I don't like how it feels.
You should change that. You should exercise. It's not that difficult. Like, working out is, I think should be like a basic requirement, or just like some kind of exercise regularly if you have the time, which if you're a YouTuber, you definitely have the time, by the way. For somebody who makes lazy slop videos, you should have the time to exercise. There's nothing really preventing you from doing that. Go to the gym or go for runs or go for hikes. Like, there's a lot of different, I don't know, do rock climbing. There's a lot of different ways that you can get your activity in. You can just do it, dude.
So do something about it.
I am, asshole. It's really frustrating that your fucking audience keeps commenting that shit when I do. I used to be heavier, dickhead. But it's, you don't fucking change overnight.
Me, Ethan. Now you're the one getting mad.
You literally were just like, do something about it. Fuck off, asshole.
This is crazy.
Fuck off, asshole. That's so mean, dude. It's just not a cool thing to say. Why would you? Aren't you like an adult? Why would you say something like that? It's just so rude to call someone mean on the internet. That's horrible.
It's mean. You're mean. When you talk about weight shit, you're mean, and I don't like it.
God, this is hilariously dumb. I find it funny how this guy goes on a full tangent about how it was mean to make comments about his appearance, as if he doesn't do that to others.
If he shaved everything but his mustache, he would look scary. He would look frightening. Beard is...
That's mean. Why would you say that, dude? Making fun of his beard? That's so mean.
To be clear, this guy looks way better than Ethan. I try not to talk about people's appearances too much, but come on, dude. This guy is so much better looking. Come on. Have a little self-awareness.
Just giving Easter Island silhouette. Yeah, he does look like this. Someone point out he looks like from his profile, he looks like a crescent moon. Why does he look like that? Why are his eyes yellow like a Sith Lord? Why does he feel like he was built in Detroit Become...
This is the thing, like, everyone makes fun of people's appearances because it is funny. And we all intuitively, on our inside, recognize that it's a funny thing to do. But Ethan, it has to be like some kind of... you're a bad influence type thing. It has to be some kind of like, why would you ever do that? Because he just needs an argument against sensitive society. In the absence of any real point connecting him somehow to right-wing content, it just has to be like, well, you make fun of fat people. That's a bad thing. You can't say things like that. And Ben Shapiro also did that. Is therefore bad. Like, that's just how it has to be. People like this will make fun of their political opponents' appearances and then cry wolf when people do it to them.
Human. Who is this man? I'm frightened of him. If I described to you a balding white man with a podcast who peaked in high school, you'd probably be able to...
I'd look at you. I'd imagine you.
Perfectly capture exactly what this man looks like. Sorry to inject him into your head.
And I think it's fine to make these comments. The difference is, Ethan can't handle it himself. He can't stand being told to take accountability over his weight, something that he can change. Yet he'll call out people he doesn't like over things they can't change, like being bald. If you're going to make fun of someone's appearance, you have to be able to handle similar jokes about yourself. It's called being self-aware, something Ethan pretends to be. Also, I just flat out don't believe him when he says he used to be heavier. I don't imagine he got super skinny by 18, only to gain weight again. He clearly doesn't want to take accountability over...
Who knows? You'd be surprised how big people can get. In a year, people can put on like 50, 60, 100 pounds. You never know, dude. If somebody's dedicated, they'll get fat. I was thinking the other day, like, maybe I should get fat just for the experience, because I've never been fat. I've never really had like a real fat phase. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if I was fat, maybe I would be better. Maybe I'd be a better person. Maybe I'd be jollier, friendlier. Maybe I'd be better at hugging. You know what I mean? It might be good to fat max. What do you guys think? Should I do it? Should I fat max a little bit? I think there could be some serious benefit to that. I think there could be. Just saying. Kind of a new content perspective, all right? Compelling speech earlier. Here's my last $3. Thank you very much, Isabella. Glad I managed to emotionally manipulate you with that one. You'll feel terrible all the time? Well, yeah, but maybe if I'm more miserable, I'll make better art. You never know.
His problems.
I was playing Hallelujah, and I did Control F, because you literally like gaslit me. I thought I did call you homophobic, and I was like, man, I'm sorry I did that. And I Control F my script, no homophobic. Control F my script, no transphobics, not in there.
You were alluding to it. You were like this goes back.
For the fat maxing fund, thank you. Being fat rocks, you build more momentum when you move. True. Got a little too wet there, chat. Had to break it out. But, you know, I think fat maxing will be good. I think it might be a fun arc, you know? Ethan has had the glasses of my last girlfriend, has the haircut of the girl I'm talking to. Am I cooked? You are cooked. You should not goon. You're gooning actually by talking to them. You need to talk to a girl who maybe is morbidly obese and spends all day on Twitter. I think that would be a good thing. Maybe a girl who's morbidly obese and spends all day on 4chan pretending to be a guy. I think that would be good. You know, the path you're going down right now is just a bad thing. Spare some head? Of course, dude. I'll spare some head. Thank you for the donos. Appreciate it. Creep. Well, hey, Thiologist, you didn't contribute to the goal, did you? You didn't contribute anywhere closer to the goal. You lost.
I know. I think you do have transphobic takes, but I think it's not like overt. I think it's subtle transphobia.
Perfect. Here we go. Transphobic.
Okay.
Why do you think I have transphobic views? I'm transphobic. Please, I want to know your perspective.
Well, first of all, I literally just said, I don't think you're transphobic. I think you just have transphobic takes in the same way that everyone has normie ass takes. It's just normie views on trans people.
So I don't think you're transphobic. I just think you said things that are transphobic. Ethan, it's fair to conflate the two. As are you calling him transphobic? He's tiptoeing around his true feelings.
In what way is sensitive society transphobic? I'm unaware of this for sure. I'm unaware of how sensitive society believes in the destruction of the gender hegemony. He wants to go back to you're a man or you're a woman and that's it. I've never heard him say that, but I could be wrong. You know, hopefully Ethan will explain that here. Did Dan teach you these tricks? He did. He's gotten me very good at it.
So he doesn't have to say anything in bad faith. He does this a lot. It's how these guys get away with calling everyone fascists. Towards the end of this conversation, Ethan mentions his friendship with Nick and their music project, Queef Jerky. Oscar, jokingly, wants to go to one of their shows and be brought on stage.
Yeah, I mean, you can watch the show. I'm not gonna bar you from coming in.
But like, can I be like a special guest
No.
so I can get booed?
Nope.
No? Oh, come on. I wanted to be in a poster.
I remember when this shit was going on, when the Super Mega drama was going on, I think before Nick had responded, there was some tour going on and there were a few people messaging me. They were like, should I go do this? And I just never responded to them because you should not. If I ever make a video about someone, do not go talk to them in real life. Do not meet them in real life. Do not argue with them. Do not harass them. Do not do that. Leave it. You know, let them go about their way in real life. If they're on the internet doing something dumb, you can criticize them. But do not make it some kind of real life thing. That is fucking gay, okay? Do not do that. That's cringe as fuck.
Something like right next to you guys.
No, never.
Queef Jerky is a music group consisting of Nick Is Not Green and his girlfriend, Dev Lemons. For their first album, they teamed up with Ethan.
Dude, this music is crazy. I remember listening to this. Oh, this is the chipmunk picture. I remember listening to this music and being like, who is listening to this? Who likes this? And I like some weird music, but it was totally foreign to me. I didn't understand why anyone liked this kind of sound.
Ethan, who appeared in a few songs and edited the music videos.
Pineapple upside down, yeah. In the toilet, I make a brown, yeah. In the ocean, yeah. I drown, yeah. Make some motion to the sound, yeah.
Like, maybe I just don't get it. Maybe I'm just not an appreciative guy of modern art, but I just don't get this, dude. I just don't understand. I don't get it, you know? I prefer Mr. Girl's rap songs. Mr. Girl, all right, he's got some straight up fire. He's put out some great songs. Ethan is Online, I think, is just not really holding a candle to that personally. That's what I would say. That's my take. I'm fat maxing right now, but the doctor has to cut off my foot due to diabetes, so I'm going to drop a few pounds, but don't worry, I'll gain it back plus some. You can grow the foot back. That's what they don't tell you when you get it cut off at the doctor. You can grow it back.
Yeah, this is the type of song I would have made goofing around on GarageBand back in 2014. Just a mix of poop and random XD humor mixed together to make an unfunny comedy song.
Random XD humor is awesome, though, I will say. If they talked about poop in those songs, or going to the bathroom, maybe, something like that, I feel like that is cool. I have respect for that, and I want more of that. Anything outside of it, you know, the sound I don't really like, but lyrically I do connect with anything that's regarding some kind of bathroom activity, so it's nice to see that.
I talked a bit more about their music in my worst YouTuber songs list, but it's just straight ass. Even some of their fans are questioning this project. The conversation ends on weird terms, with Oscar jokingly trying to befriend Ethan and him not buying it. This rivalry probably could have ended here, though some upcoming drama would change things.
Brain rot video essays.
I'm sure you've seen this meme before. It reads, sentenced to 40 minutes of left-leaning white guy video essay commentary.
Base, dude. My favorite genre. That's me, dude. That's literally me.
Yeah, that's Ethan. That's Ethan's newer content in a nutshell. You got classics like, this megachurch pastor can't stop flexing, PragerU Kids is a hilarious mess, the bizarre depths of the TikTok shop, and how the right made dangerous planes a race issue. The type of content you leave on in the background and still be bored of. There's a lot of these videos I could go over, but there's 3 infamous ones I'll cover here. First is his video, The Groomer Narrative is a Lie. Here, he attempts to criticize conservatives who label anything LGBTQ related as grooming. Now,
and there are a lot of people like that, and that is pretty cringe. A lot of people like that do exist. Definitely Candace Owens I'd probably put in that camp. So, if you're going to dispel that narrative, I think that's, you know, probably for the best.
it is valid for him to criticize those who overuse the term groomer to generalize an entire group of people. However, this falls flat the more you watch the video. He tries to spin conservatives as the real predators, which stigmatizes them in the same way.
Of course he does. To be clear, in the case of Candace Owens is a fucking freak, and she is friends with Andrew Tate. So I have no lost feelings on her being shit on at all, to be honest.
He claims they stigmatize gay and trans people.
In 2023, any fucking freak bozo, no matter who they are, can pop up on your YouTube screen and talk about how fucking trans people are bad and buy my t-shirt that says trans people are bad. And now we can start talking about really creepy shit about children now because we're talking about trans people. Conservatives just, you know, they have children on their mind all the time. You can't blame them for wanting to talk about children every chance they get.
This isn't the only time he does this, by the way, because then Ethan uses his expert research skills to completely own the chuds.
The source that I found on this is a UCLA Williams Institute study on demographics of people in...
Oh, he's a scholar, dude. He's actually reading studies. All right. Is it a Shadow the Hedgehog sticker? That's cool. Well, we'll see how good his research is. Maybe it's going to be good. Well, you know, you never know. You never know how good it is. I will say, you know, I find it a little bit hypocritical that the argument is like, a lot of these people claim that, you know, all trans people are groomers. And in reality, all conservatives are actually groomers who have children on the mind all the time. It's like, can we just dispel the argument without sinking to their level? Like, is it really necessary to just falsely accuse everybody who is a conservative of being a pedophile?
sex offender registries all across the United States. For some reason, the sex offender registry, I don't think, keeps track of sexuality. So they had to survey people on the sex offender registry to even get the data. So right from the top, basics. 80% of the people in this registry are straight. I think we're done, right? That 96% of them are men, and about 40% of these straight.
80% of them are straight. Okay, so I'm not trying to make the argument that gay people are predators, but if you want to try to make the argument that this study is evidence that they're not, if 80% of them are straight and 20% of them are gay, in the general population, how many people are gay? Probably like 1%, 2, 3% maybe. Therefore, the data you're citing would actually support the opposite of what your argument is. It would actually support the conclusion that there's a higher rate of sexual abuse, or at least reports of it, within the gay community. So that kind of destroys your argument.
Straight men sexually abuse their own family members compared to just 24% of queer people. Interesting.
All right, let's look at that study Ethan was referencing. Because
24% of queer people? How many queer people are there? What do you think? Not a lot. Not that many. Like this is such simple math. I can't even do basic addition, and I can read this and understand what's going on.
Holy crap, he's clueless. I'll link it down below if you want to see it for yourself. What Ethan fails to mention is that there isn't a 50-50 split in the population size of straight people and LGBTQ people. According to the UCLA Williams Institute, who also published the other study Ethan is using, as of December 2023, around 5.5% of adults in the US consider themselves LGBTQ. Even if high estimates, it's 7.1%. With that in mind, this data literally shows that LGBTQ people commit sex crimes at roughly 3 times the rate of straight people. One of the paragraphs above this chart literally...
Yeah, like, if you're trying to make this argument, why would you even cite this study? Why wouldn't you at least try to dishonestly cherry pick another study that actually supports your conclusion instead of one that makes you look worse? This makes it look like, if you read that study, this makes it look like you actually think that gay people do have a higher rate of sexually assaulting people. Or, you know, whatever, sex crimes in general, right? Come on. Per capita, bruh. Per capita.
Says this, but Ethan completely ignores this. So in an attempt to show gay people don't commit sex crimes at higher rates, he shows a study that completely proves that wrong. He does show...
But he's just lazy, that's the thing. Like, he criticizes other people for lazy content, and then he dunks on them with the laziest arguments of all time. Because he just thinks that they're not worthy of, like, a good argument being made against them, because they're so dumb you don't even have to try. That's how he thinks about this stuff.
That LGBTQ people have a higher rate of being incarcerated, but says it's because of oppression. He never shows valid proof.
Ethan's an esoteric chud that's operating undercover. Dude, he didn't realize. He didn't realize that he was a secret chud. Am I right? He's making the argument for them. They didn't even have to get him to do it, dude. He lost the game, or maybe he won, depending on how you look at it.
Proof for this. It's just an assumption. I'd be willing to believe him if he does have evidence. I don't know if this is stupidity, or that he's intentionally twisting the truth to make his side look better.
I would argue probably stupidity if I had to guess. Because you have to think, if you're making this point, anyone can just look up this study and realize what's going on. So, like, they can easily realize that the study does not support the argument he's making, so it must be stupidity, I assume. As a homosexual man, can you attest to this? As a homosexual man, I am guilty of many crimes.
It's hilarious because right before showing this study, he was super cocky.
But yeah, sure. Let's say that there is any sort of legitimacy behind the idea that gay people are grooming kids. Not that there's any fucking study to support that ever, but, you know, if that's the narrative we're going with, we're gonna have to talk some facts and logic. So if you're a conservative watching, this is the part where you're gonna turn off the video. I know you guys aren't really huge on facts and logic, so make sure to press subscribe.
Ethan's own research disproves this point, and nobody in his audience realized it. It wasn't until half a year later when Think Before You Sleep looked into that study and pointed out how wrong Ethan is.
Dude, I bet Ethan fucking hated this video. I bet he hated hearing Think Before You Sleep's nasally voice go into that study and show how he was wrong. Ethan gooned one time, look where he is now, never gooned. True! That's very true.
Ethan then digs deeper into calling conservatives groomers.
It's no news that the Catholic Church is full of creepy freaks. We already know. Everyone knows. But all of these conservatives all say the same shit about gay people. And listen, if you're friends with pedophiles and you say the same stuff as pedophiles, I don't know if you're all that good of a guy. I don't know.
Is Ben Shapiro friends with pedophiles? I mean, for Candace Owens is friends with Andrew Tate. I support that argument against her wholeheartedly. Once again, maybe I'm missing something, but to my knowledge, I don't think that Ben Shapiro has any takes that are pro-pedophilia. The funny thing about the Catholic Church thing is, like, there definitely are criticisms to be made about the Catholic Church. You know, there's a lot of interesting stuff that happened where there would be, like, young boys being abused. They would just move the pastor around, you know. Definitely seems like there's some corruption with that institution. But I believe that the rate of pedophilia is actually higher in public schools than it is in the Catholic Church, which is very concerning. But it also just kind of makes his argument very weird here. Priest, not pastor? My bad. I did grow up within, I guess, slightly Catholic, like a slightly Catholic family, but not really. My, like, parents are pretty Catholic, but Well, I guess my mom's parents are like Orthodox, but I just never really, I never really cared that much. I'm not a super religious person. Can we listen to the Poop Song by David Kaiser? No, we cannot. Tom punched my fart box with his tongue. I did do that in 1999, and I'll do it again.
No. He tries to conflate that all Catholics are pedos or pedo defenders, listing off a few examples. One is a man named John Roach.
Speaking of hypocrites who love, hurting children, let's talk about John Roach. John Roach was a Catholic archbishop in the Twin Cities from the 70s until the 90s. Listen, I know I said Catholic, and yes, it's exactly what you think. It is pretty extensively documented how much of a pedophile defender Archbishop John Roach was. He literally had the sexual assaulter of multiple boys sign a contract that said, don't go to the youth group because you're a mega pedophile.
Wait, repeat that?
Literally had the sexual assaulter of multiple boys.
So, your example of a Catholic conservative being a pedo defender involves them protecting a man molesting boys. So, a gay guy. You were once again arguing against yourself. Could you not find one case of a straight Catholic pedo? And I love that he's conflating all Catholics as conservatives, since a majority of them are either Democrats or have no political leanings. Instead of dismantling a groomer narrative, he spreads a different one out of pure spite.
I'm actually surprised by the fact that most of them are Democrats or have no political leaning. That is surprising to me. But I guess more of like, if you want to talk about like quote unquote right-wing Christianity, stuff like that, a lot of it's more like, it's not really Catholicism, it's more like baptism, stuff like that, probably, or Baptist people, evangelical, stuff like that from the South rather than, Catholics in the Northeast. Catholics are cool because Rome is cool. I went there. It was kind of cool. Why do you have so many computer chairs? Because I have so many computers and I own you.
A completely hypocritical move that doesn't dismantle the supposed lies of his opponents, but instead vilifies them. This whole video is just, oh, you think we're the groomers? No, you. Instead of me.
But it's the same thing he did to Sensitive Society. It's like, you guys have bad arguments. Let me make even worse arguments against you. I'm like, come on. It's just like a tit for tat thing. Is that all this is to you? Like, he acts like he's so much more intelligent than all these guys for like barely reading a study.
Meeting down the middle, Ethan does exactly what he calls out others for, overgeneralizing. During last year's iDubbbz drama, Ethan would weigh in with, the response to iDubbbz apology is gross. Now, if you want the full context of what he's talking about, go check out my iDubbbz documentary. To keep things short, Ian, or iDubbbz, got into drama last year for his disastrous charity boxing event, which involved drama of one of the fighters, Froggy Fresh. During the midst of this, Ian apologized for his old edgy content, which involved him jokingly using some no-no words. Many criticized this apology for the timing and how performative it was, as he treated this old content as a burden he'd had to deal with for the rest of his life. In my opinion, Ian was doing this to purge his channel of his older audience, since they were critical of his recent actions. Ethan would be one of the few YouTubers to defend Ian, using it as an excuse to go after a few commentary channels he didn't like. One of those was Sensitive Society, who he mainly just calls unfunny while being unfunny himself. He also claims that iDubbbz's fanbase is radicalized to an extreme level.
You just made YouTube videos, it's not that serious.
He made videos that weird, sick freaks like Sensitive Society praised and took so seriously and held him on such a pedestal.
I don't think they did. I think it's the opposite. I think they're saying that iDubbbz shouldn't hold himself on a pedestal and act like he was some amazing content creator who at the same time was influencing the youth to be fucking racist because he made some edgy jokes. Like, I think that's actually the argument being made. It's the opposite of putting him on a pedestal. It's saying you're not on a pedestal. You don't have to take this so seriously. You are putting him on a pedestal by acting like his commentary videos created some kind of right-wing wave.
That's why this video is even able to exist, is because people took his content to such a weird, unhealthy extreme.
I find this funny because Ethan himself was a fan of Ian's old content, stating this in the intro.
I used to be a fan of old iDubbbz,
but that's when he was an extremely racist teenager who hated black people. I feel like some of this shit has to be projection, right? Like, if you became racist from watching iDubbbz videos and you make the assertion that everybody was, you're probably just projecting. That just sounds like perfect projection to me.
I was also very ignorant while I watched that content as well. And as someone who was de-radicalized, I think this video that Ian put out is pretty important. The perspective of someone who
was de-radicalized. How racist were you, dude? How red-pilled were you? Were you on some Jewish question stuff? Talking about the USS Liberty? How racist were you, dude? I gotta know. What were his old DMs like?
Who participated in right-wing radicalization and racism on the internet, having changed over time, is a really good example to set.
Again, Ethan wasn't de-radicalized. He shifted to the opposite extreme. Just because Ian said some edgy shit doesn't mean he was far right.
But this is always how it is. It's like, you go from being like an edgy teenager, and you're like, oh wait, saying the N-word is a bad thing? What? I'm racist? And then you go from that to being a fucking communist Hassan fan. Like, these are the only two extremes. There can be no middle ground for all of these people. You're either iDubbbz or Xander Hall, apparently. And if you're iDubbbz, you're a Nazi.
Even Hassan Piker, someone just as radical as Ethan, doesn't think Ian was alt-right.
It didn't seem like you were, you know, any different than any other content creator on YouTube in that same era. As a matter of fact, you were...
He did claim that he did somehow claim that iDubbbz was fighting for left-wing content, though. He was like, you were criticizing some of the most right-wing content creators of that era, like Leafy is here, Rice Gum, and Keemstar. And it's like, really? Is that really what was going on there? I don't think that's really true at all, actually. I don't. Why would you like? Well, I don't think that's true. This is like historical revisionism, and even Ian and Ianiso looked confused when Hassan was saying that. Have you heard about the Costco guys being Jewish yet making a Christmas song? Can we get a 5-hour video about this? Yeah, I'll definitely get right on that.
We're probably like more towards the center or left than most content creators of that era, because you were shitting on the most like right-wing content creators of that era.
Okay, that last part was stupid, but you get what I mean. I guarantee you Ethan was never far right-leaning. He just found edgy humor funny and saw others shift away from that to be more socially acceptable. Ethan then moves on to nitpicking the Jinx Reload content cop.
This is the secret formula to maintaining a positive like-dislike ratio while producing terrible content.
What the hell does he have written behind him in the back there, where he needs to have a script with him for this video? He's not...
He wrote out some of his jokes? What? You're just saying the content cop's bad? Maybe you should have a script, Ethan. Maybe your videos would be better if you wrote them out a little bit. Because iDubbbz blew up to a crazy level, and he wrote out some of his videos. What the fuck are you doing? You're just talking off the cuff bullshit? Maybe you should write your videos.
Saying anything. He's not saying anything about the content. He's just saying, like, man, he has a different bucket hat in every video.
He's making fun of him. Yeah, he's making fun of him. That's what content cop was. Do you think every single content cop argument was like a fucking destructive force of nature? He was just making fun of him. That's part of what made it good. He would make good arguments, but then he would also just make fun of people's cringe.
Yo, okay.
Ethan, it's a comedy video. He's making jokes. Something you clearly don't know how to do besides being snarky. Ethan then briefly mentions a few other channels like Kavos and Jamari, getting offended at a sex worker joke made by the latter.
If I were down bad enough...
This is not Jamari. This is Poncho.
...to buy her OnlyFans, which I'd rather kill myself. We share her now.
That's a fucking hideous way to act and a really gross way to think about women. Yeah, man.
Okay.
And you're definitely not the cringe, creepy weirdo here.
Again, Ethan's own girlfriend has an OnlyFans. Lastly, he covers a video by Diesel Patches, though it's not even about Ian's apology. It's a video made a month prior looking back at Ian's sex workers video.
You can tell Ian kind of lost his composure a bit. He's all fucking red-faced, and at one point in the video, he makes fun of a 15-year-old kid to defend his queen.
First of all, the crowd that is defending saying the N-word is mad about someone pointing out a 15-year-old's looks. I think that 15-year-old deserved it. He never should.
I think what they're actually saying is it's hypocritical for for iDubbbz. What they're saying is it's hypocritical for iDubbbz to say like, oh, I've changed. I don't want to make fun of anyone anymore. I don't want to make harmful content. And then decide to pick out some specific 15-year-old who made a joke about him and put him in his video, right? I think that's actually the argument being made here. I don't really feel bad for the 15-year-old who made a public statement for getting shit on a little bit. You know, I don't think Ian had a responsibility to find out if that kid was a kid before he shit on him and for making a viral tweet about him. But like, that's clearly the argument Diesel's making. Like, are you even trying to understand?
Should have brought up Ian's wife. That's fucking weird.
Mr. Bullying Isn't Okay thinks it's valid for a massive YouTuber to mock a 15-year-old. And only a few weeks later...
This guy would be a huge Leafy fan, dude. Bring it back.
He'd say this during his conversation of Sensitive Society about Fuzz99.
Why do you care so much if they look goofy? What if they say, I don't care if I look goofy, I still like being silly?
The reason people hate iDubbbz is because it's not genuine. He's doing this because he's scared he's going to get canceled for stuff from his past. I feel like he's not scared. I feel like it is genuine. This is the thing. I think it comes across as so disingenuous, but I think iDubbbz is being honest, and I think his honest takes are really bad. I don't think that he's scared of being canceled for the past because nobody ever talked about it. Nobody ever had a problem with it. He decided to speak about that stuff of his own volition. So I actually don't think that iDubbbz was lying with his apology. I think it's just bad.
I still like being this person.
Then be silly.
But why are you okay? So, but then you keep making videos to tell them to stop. Like, why does it like? I know you're just doing it for the bag. I know you don't really care that much, but like, it's mean. It's mean to do, and you have mean takes when you say things about them.
I mean, it's a public platform, right? And you upload it yourself, and anyone can talk about it, just like I've done.
So it's okay to bully because it's a public platform.
No, I'm just saying you're putting it out there, and when you're putting out everything, you're bound to get some backlash. And on top of that, if you're being extremely fucking annoying, like Fuzz99 is or whatever the fuck.
It's okay to bully if they deserve it.
So Ethan thinks it's wrong to make fun.
He's not really bullying though. He's just making a public commentary video about them. And also, like, Ethan does think it's okay to bully if they deserve it. He is not principled on this. He will say, like, why would you ever make fun of someone's appearance? That's just not nice. Why'd you make fun of someone for being fat? And then when it's someone he feels like he has an excuse to make fun of and he won't get called out for it, he does it himself.
Fun of a trans person for being cringe, but it's okay to make fun of a 15-year-old for making jokes about a public figure. It's just inconsistent. And I guarantee you, Ethan only...
It's because he pretends to have principles and never adheres to them. Therefore, he has no principles. It's just whatever feels convenient at that point in time.
He thinks it's okay because the 15-year-old is making fun of a sex worker. Diesel would respond not too long after. Don't get on Ethan for this retarded take.
I think that 15-year-old deserved it. He never should have brought up Ian's wife. That's fucking weird.
No, what's weird is getting butthurt by what a 15-year-old says that you display that kid's face in front of your millions of fans to be made fun of. That's actually the opposite of maturity and growing up. That's called being an insecure loser. If you're an adult and you have millions of followers online and some random minor nobody gets under your skin, then you need to log the fuck off and go outside.
Sometime after this, Ethan would delete the video. After mentioning it in a previous video, it randomly appeared on the Internet Archive, so I uploaded it myself. That's how bad this video is, even by Ethan's standards. Then we get to one of Ethan's most mocked videos. You're wrong about...
I hate this video. This video, the fascist propaganda line, I think is such a good fucking meme clip. That's why I use it all the time in the Doolittle video. I love this video, dude. This video is peak Ethan is Online content. I love it, dude. I love his takes on art. He is truly a scholar of art.
Modern art. It's a 40-minute pretentious clusterfuck where he tries to convince his audience that modern art is cool, and he must be a right-winger if you think it sucks. This logic completely contradicts another big point Ethan pushes, which is that art is subjective, and you should be willing to hear out other people's perspectives.
But something happened on the way to the 20th century. The profound, the inspiring, and the beautiful were replaced by the new, the different, and the ugly.
Nah, new art style's ugly. I mean, that's mad. Not only is that completely subjective, but the other two are synonyms in this context. Robert, what are we doing?
The issue is that Ethan doesn't like the perspective of right-wingers, saying that their takes on modern art are negatively influencing people.
Art is subjective, not in a I think this is good and I think this is bad way, but in a way that's unique to everyone. Your appreciation and your taste in art is reflective of your subjective experience, your identity, your personality. These are all factors in observing art. And I think it's far more important to experience and think for yourself rather than letting narratives dictate what you think.
I mean, the thing is, like, true, but that's all that these other people are doing too. Like, they're saying, I don't like modern art for these reasons. You're saying, oh, well, I do like modern art because I'm more open. I don't like classical art. I like modern art because I'm more open to these things. It's like, well, it gets subjective. The argument is made for themselves in what they say. You acknowledge it's subjective.
Yet in the same video, he shits on classical art as if it's objective truth.
Yeah, this little T-girl Jesus is the most expensive painting in the
okay, bro. Lol.
world from Leonardo da Vinci. It's not even finished. Hair does not look like that.
Well, if all art is subjective, then why are you stating as a fact that the Da Vinci painting is unfinished? That would be an objective statement. He clearly doesn't understand his own logic and is only saying all this shit to sound pretentious. He shits on classical art and then
I don't know if that's a good argument. The painting might be unfinished. That may be part of its art history. I don't know that. So Rob's Media might be wrong there.
praises modern art like a white canvas, a giant rock, a pile of boxes, and a fan. Ethan's reasonings for liking these pieces is due to their backstory, not how good the art looks. He likes the fan because the person who owned it died from AIDS. Yes, that's why that fan is considered art. The main reason this video gets a lot of flack is because he tries to conflate Charlie as a useful idiot for the right. Ethan asserts that all art is political, which is a dumb statement once you think about it. You can literally make anything political if you try hard enough. I'm sure Ethan can do a 40-minute video explaining how this thumbnail is right-wing propaganda.
Of course there's a political component, right? All art is inherently political, either in its influences, messages, or implication. 101, guys, this is baby stuff. Art.
I don't think it is. If I draw a picture of Skibbity Toilet, is that political in some way? Like, it's clearly art. I drew it, but is that like a political thing? I don't really understand. I don't really understand at all. Charlie believes you can castrate kids, but somehow he's right wing. Well, in fairness, he doesn't believe you can castrate kids, but his takes about minors getting hormones was after this, in fairness. But yeah, I mean, once again, I don't really like this kind of conversation around how anybody who agrees with a right wing take, or not even a right-wing take, anyone who agrees with the take that a right-winger also has is inherently right-wing and pushing their propaganda. I really don't like that.
Critique is really just opinion, but a lot of people let...
What was the political message behind cat cell and cat soy? Well, you have to understand the political message between my cat cell and cat soy drawing is very deep. Okay, it's a commentary on the state of institutionalized racism in this country. And if you can't see that, I mean, you know, art is subjective, so you can have your own opinion. But I think you're dumb for not getting it.
Right-wing propaganda cloud their judgment of modern art, whether they realize it or not. All because it helps them feel better in not wanting to engage with it. In an ideal conservative world, art is interpreted for people through a YouTube video full of lying, misinformation, emotional manipulation, false comparisons. But this happens every day.
Ethan, that's literally what you're trying to do here. Because right after this line, he tries comparing PragerU, a conservative propagandist group, to Moist Critical, a video game streamer.
Dude. So true. They're the same thing, dude.
Gamer guy and fascist propaganda should not be saying the same thing.
He has made at least a dozen videos fooling your old grandpa about modern art. All of them are completely nonsense and wrong. But why is it that I hear the same boring, shallow, fragile talking points from people who should be way more in touch with culture? Listen, yeah, I know his face is in the thumbnail, and yeah, this video is kind of about Charlie. But listen, it's not personal. I'm trying to compare content that realistically should have nothing in common. Fascist propaganda and gamer streamers should not be saying the same things. The difference is PragerU's content is motivated and has an agenda. Charlie is just being a useful idiot for that agenda.
He's not. He's just giving his opinion. He's just giving his take on art and how he feels. He's not a useful idiot because he feels a certain way about art. What the fuck are you talking about? Are you a useful idiot for the gay AIDS fan art because you like it? What does that even mean?
I know it's not on purpose. Charlie doesn't watch PragerU for his art analysis content. He probably didn't even get the talking points from them, but they're still saying the same thing. Charlie's just an average guy with...
But don't you think the motivation behind saying something matters too? Like, don't you think that Charlie can have a take on a certain piece of artwork that he doesn't like, and he doesn't have to be intrinsically tied or even extrinsically tied to fascist propaganda?
An average brain in his head. Florida average, but average. But it's uncanny how similar normal average guy language can be to politically motivated propaganda. Content that we all know is dishonest.
This is such a lousy argument. Oh, this normal person said this thing? You know who else said that thing? This extremist group.
This reminds me of Zayn. It does. Well, there's a reason why I made the argument that a lot of these guys think the same, look the same, act the same, talk the same, because a lot of them do. You know, Ethan's obviously, in a literal sense, a different person from Jake Doolittle, but they repeat a lot of the same talking points. They're the same kind of guy.
It's a Hitler drinks water type argument. Charlie not liking modern art doesn't mean
he did, though. To be fair, Rob, he did. He did.
Well, idiot for the right. It means he has a common opinion. He shows Charlie giving objective takes about modern art, which is clearly just him joking with his audience. Ethan doesn't care and goes after him anyways.
The video keeps going, and Charlie keeps saying that it wouldn't be that hard to make a...
It's like such a normal thing to have more appreciation with like a highly skilled painting by Leonardo da Vinci, to have more respect for that than like the fucking AIDS fan. Like, it's such a normal take to appreciate one more than the other. Like, I just, everything has to be fascist propaganda with this guy. I hate it.
Jackson Pollock painting.
None of them have the energy, the spontaneity, and the sheer skill in handling paint that he has.
Oh, very skillful. Does he see how much paint is on this? It's covered, and it's really big. Like, especially if it's on the ground, he had to walk around and on it. He could
amazing
swing
piece
his
of
whole
art,
arm
dude,
out and still be painting on his canvas.
I'm pretty sure anyone can do that. I mean, Ethan does it every night.
No, you can only do it if you... Okay, good one. You can only do it if you come from a left-wing AIDS perspective. If you come from a right-wing perspective, you're going to criticize it and not like it, and that's all there is to it. It's simple.
If I had a black light, the place would look like a Jackson Pollock painting.
So just like with Oscar, Ethan is saying that having a decently common opinion and discussing it on your channel will lead viewers down the alt-right pipeline. That's his strategy. He's got to make everyone outside his worldview seem dangerous.
All right. Because I've had enough of Ethan is Online. And with that being said, guys, I'm going to get off stream for today, but I will be back on Monday, all right, the 23rd. I will not be streaming on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, but I will be back on the 23rd for a stream, and I'll probably be back after Christmas. But for today, I'm done. I got to get off. I'm focusing less on streaming right now. I know it's kind of cringe. You know, you guys probably don't like it, but I'm focusing a little bit less on streaming because I've got some other stuff focusing on with the Turkey Tom channel, the Tom Dark channel. But thank you for watching. Become a member if you want the full stream VOD. They will not be public right now. Become a member if you want the full stream VOD. Thank you for all the donos. Thank you for meeting the goals, and I'll be back on Monday. Have a good weekend. Rest, relax, spend some time with your family for the holidays, all right? And stop gooning. Thank you. Goodbye.